This is what we finish up doing. The first thing we do generally is we resonate with what's going on. So, the man with the mother-in-law. The mother-in-law comes and treats him like he's a bastard. Right? Because she has that emotion in her that men are bastards. So she treats him like one, right? So she treats him in that manner. And, you know, if he didn't have the emotion in himself that something about himself is bad, he would never resonate with it. Does that make sense? And if he didn't resonate with it, he wouldn't even feel anything. He'd just feel love for her, wouldn't he? Say, oh, there she goes again, treating men like bastards, but doesn't worry me, I'm not a bastard. Now, it can only be an emotion inside of himself that starts resonating with it, doesn't it? And this is what happens to us all. If the emotion is in us, it resonates. It's like a singer when the opera singer when they sing a high note, ah, and the window panes or something vibrate or the glasses explode. You've heard of that, right? That's called resonant frequency. And you could think of every emotion within you as has a resonant frequency with a sympathetic emotion outside of you, right? And when that sympathetic emotion outside of you is attracted to you through the law of attraction, this resonant thing goes off inside of you, and you respond. So what do you do then? Well, generally what we do is we step into projection. And the way we project, generally, we go into anger. Or we withdraw. Or we love it away. Every one of those is an avoidance. Where blame, there's many others, by the way. I've only listed three very popular ones. The most popular two are generally these two. Now, I classify anger as annoyance, mild annoyance, a little bit frustrated. These are all anger-based responses, right? So that's all in anger. Withdrawal is, I'm gone quiet now, right? I'm stepping back from this transaction. I don't want to be involved in this transaction. That's withdrawal. The problem with these steps that we take is that we are now out of living in the power of the law of attraction. Can you see that? If the law of attraction is operated to bring this event into my life, I'm resonating with it. It's great. At that point, this is great. I'm resonating with it. So I'm now in this state where I'm now conscious of what something inside of me is that's in disharmony with love. I'm resonating with it. That's fantastic. What's your next choice? That's the key. Most of the time, our next choice is to go into that. Into actually rejecting what the law of attraction is bringing to me. That's our next choice. Do you want to keep making that choice? So if you keep making that choice, this resonance is going to happen again, and again, and again, and again, until we stop making that choice and get into a non-projecting way, which is actually a feeling way, where I'm accepting my own emotions. Does that make sense to everyone? Now, these are really good keys to you. They're telling you, oh, I'm angry, I'm no longer respecting my own law of attraction. I'm no longer listening to God. I am no longer listening to the messenger of truth. As soon as I'm in that state. Does that make sense? As soon as I'm in that state, I'm no longer listening anymore. Right? As soon as I'm in this state, I'm no longer listening anymore to my law of attraction. As soon as I'm on this state, and what's this state? This is like a state where, you know, somebody starts crying around you. So what you do is you run up to them and give them a hug. There you go. It's not that bad. You know? What are you doing? They've just resonated. They're just in their emotion, and what are you trying to do? You're trying to suppress it. Why are you trying to suppress it? Because there's an emotion in you that's resonating with their resonant emotion. Right? If they're crying, your feelings and grief you do not want to feel. And you're trying to calm them down. You're trying to love them away. And it's not loving. It's in fact the opposite of love. It's actually very harmful and damaging. Because you're making out to yourself it's love. It's even the more damaging thing. It's better to just see it as, I'm just trying to calm them down, than it is to see it as loving. Because it's not loving. If we can leave the questions to after still. So, what often we do, and there's lots of other projection type emotions we use, blame, judgment, and so forth. All these other projection style emotions we continue to use because we feel the resonance and then we get frightened. And when we get frightened, what do? We then step away from actually feeling the emotion and we go into this place where we want to make everybody else around me to blame for the emotion. When right at the start, what did we say the law of attraction was? We are getting what we really want. Right at that moment, I am getting what I really want, what I really need at the soul level is coming to me at that moment. And I need to let it happen. I need to actually allow the trigger to occur. So there are so many emotions that you'll feel in this projection phase. Anger, blame, frustration, guilt. A lot of these different emotions are actually your avoidance of the underlying causal emotion. So when I say the causal emotion, that's the emotion that's causing the attraction. Do you follow me? So when we talk about causal emotions, we're talking about the emotions that actually cause the attraction. And if we focus on allowing the trigger, so we usually have an event which triggers us emotionally. So I might be driving along the road, I've used this example hundreds of times, right? Somebody cuts us off. Trigger emotion, fear. Trigger emotion into it, anger. When I'm in anger, what did I just do? I just skipped through the resonance and I'm now in the projection and the denial. And that can happen in 1 second. How many times has that happened for you in 1 second? You haven't even been conscious of all of that going on in your soul. Your soul is so fast at processing everything. A lot of times you don't even know it's happened by the time it's happened. Right? Now when we get these triggers, allow them to actually affect you emotionally. Stop intellectualizing them away, stop avoiding them, allow you to feel them. So if, let's say the trigger is right at this point, a man treated me like I was unworthy to be heard. So that's my trigger. That's the trigger for an emotion that's inside of me of unworthy to be heard by a man. Right? Because if it's a man, if it's a woman, then it's unworthy to be heard by a woman. Right? So allow yourself to feel that emotion. Then step into that emotion. I'm stepping into that emotion, and now I'm starting to feel some feelings from my childhood where my father or a major male in my life constantly projected that at me, that I was unworthy to be heard because I was a girl. Right? Now I'm feeling my causal emotion. So my trigger exposes the emotion and I can step into that emotion and start feeling it. And as a result of that, I can take the next step, which is always related to somewhere in my childhood generally, where I can feel the actual causal emotion. And it's the causal emotion that caused the attraction. So if I release the causal emotion, what will happen to my future attractions? They will just disappear. Does that make sense? That's how you make them disappear. Okay. And I've got a quarter of an hour. And I want to go into the next section actually. Oh, one thing I need to say. Under that section, when the law of attraction events happen, I say, look at your personal reasoning. If you're saying, and many of you have done this with me in your private discussions, if you're saying to yourself, he did that to me, or she did that to me, or this happened to me, you are actually not respecting the law of attraction. If you respect the law of attraction, your own internal feelings will be, I attracted this event. You will always go there. So you won't say, he was a bastard, he did that to me, and he did this to me, and he did that to me. You won't be saying those things anymore, because you will instead be saying, I attracted a man into my life who did this to me. I attracted a man into my life who did that to me. What inside of me caused that attraction? That's what you'll start saying. And that's a very powerful place to be, because who is the only person you can change? Yourself. And when you change yourself, ironically, people around you start changing too. Right? And that's because your law of attraction changes when you change yourself. And you're changing your soul condition. That's when your law of attraction changes. Now, you can also use this law in a very positive way. So I've talked so far in how to use it in a negative way, and so when I say negative, how to actually explore your painful emotions. Does that make sense? So it's the painful emotions that often cause us to not be in bliss or in happiness, isn't it? So you can use the law of attraction to explore your painful emotions in that way.